Hello, hello, and welcome. I'm so glad that you guys are able to be here today. I actually have my camera where I need it to be. Yesterday, I kind of flubbed on that one, but welcome. I am Mandy Rice of teachonamission.com. And my little mission here and all of these things that I'm doing in my business is to help teachers build sustainable classrooms so they can stay there longer. And I primarily do that by focusing on the flipped classroom and therefore more accessible classroom. So if you're here today, it's probably because you have been like up to your ears in thinking about online learning and how to make your classroom more accessible, right? And I'm really excited for today because we're going to be hearing from two other teachers other than just me. So that's a good thing in and of itself. But these are two teachers who have flipped their classroom this year. And so they are going to share their experiences, right? They'll introduce themselves, kind of tell us about their flipping journey, is what I always call it in some of my Facebook groups, and just kind of share what the impact has been. Now, you might be asking, well, what in the world is the connection between a flipped classroom, which happens in the four walls of my classroom that I can't be in right now, and online teaching, right? This remote learning, this distance learning that we're doing, which is a fantastic question to be asking. Here's the thing. And you may, if you've seen any of my lives this week or read my blog or anything like that this week, you know, you've heard me say this before. We've got this time right now, which as chaotic and unprecedented as and uncertain as it is, we've got this time where teachers are doing so much work to develop classrooms that are accessible online. And what I am saying, what I'm kind of adding to this is that in all of that work, first, you deserve at least like 20 CEUs or PDUs, whatever you call it, just by having gone through this. That's kind of my joke. But all of this learning, when we go back to school, whether that's in May or August, right? Like it's a toss up right now. You don't want to go back to your classroom and just say this with all the work that you've been doing. I think that's a disservice to you, and I certainly think that's a disservice to your students. And so if you're here today, I'm going to encourage you, right? I'm going to give you a very professional and loving shove in the right direction to decide right now to make this time and this work that you're doing count and therefore impact your classroom when you go back. You don't want to go back to the status quo of a classroom that's not accessible. And I'm not saying that to say that we're going to have another pandemic. Good heavens, please no, right? But you are going to have students that are absent for extended periods of time, or that you need to be absent for extended periods of time. But you also don't want to go back to the status quo of the unsustainability that, frankly, like I've said, is the status quo of education today for teachers, and that it's just not, the pace is just not sustainable. And that's really kind of my underlying mission in all of this is, like I said at the beginning, to help you build that sustainability. So reaching for an accessible and a sustainable classroom, right? Using this learning to make those happen even when you go back in May or in August, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and bring on our special guest. First up, we have Anouska, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself. So let me unmute here. I'm just kind of learning as we go through. Let's do this one. All right, Anouska, welcome. Thanks so much for coming and for doing this. I know I just said that to you, but thank you so much for doing this today. I really, really appreciate it. All right, so if you wouldn't mind, just introduce yourself. Tell us about you.
Sure. My name is Anouska. I've been an educator for 11 years. I've spent the last 7 years working specifically with English language learners and the last 2 years in an AP psychology classroom. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so tell us about your flipping journey. So how you kind of learned about the flipped classroom, kind of when did the wheels start turning for you and thinking about this, and just take us from A to Z. What did that look like for you?
Well, when I got given the AP psychology class, I was thrilled. And then I really quickly realized that I was going to be lecturing every day, all day, basically, because it is so much content. And the content is really exciting and fun. And I really wanted to enjoy it. And I did. But it became like exhausting. Every day I was just saying the same things over and over again. And I felt like my enthusiasm like would just drop. And so like my first hour I was sleepy. My second hour I was like, yeah. And then by fifth, I was done for the day,
Yes.
So they just didn't get my best. And I thought I need to find a way to be more sustainable. I also lost my voice 3 different times from September to December. And so that was a nightmare. I'm like pointing at the slide, trying to like, sign language my way through it. And I'm like, you know what? I can't do this. And I also have like a family and toddlers. And by the time I got home after that long day, like I did not want to talk. Like a child should not have been anywhere near me. I was just done. So I was looking for sustainability. And then I started seeing some of your videos and within AP Psychology World, which is an amazing Facebook group if you're not a part of it. And then I was like, what is this? I had never heard of a flipped classroom ever. And then as I started watching the videos, I'm like, this actually feels sustainable. And I think it's going to be like, and it's your timing was summer. I'm like, this is perfect. Like in the summer, I need to wrap my head around what just happened because I just spent a year throwing things at kids.
Yes.
Like, what? Like, I don't know what happened.
Yep.
Like, so I'm going to sit and figure out what happened. And then while I'm doing that, I'm going to get the support from another teacher. Because I was also tired of like having my admin just tell me like, this is what you do. I'm like, you haven't been in a classroom in 20 years. Like, don't tell me what to do. Like, these are my kids. Like, I know what to do. Just let me like wrap my mind around it.
Well, and
but
like,
you never have.
Yeah, and they can give that directive, right? Of here's what you do, but it's very much like a figure it out, right? Like there's like handymans who DIY everything, and to me, then there's teachers. Like the next step is then being a teacher. You have to DIY everything. And that is such like we are overpaid DIYers, if you ask me. Like I'm not saying teachers are overpaid, but I feel like there's other ways to support teachers other than just in salary. And one of those is helping them see this is how you do it. So yes, I'm so glad you brought that up. Okay, keep going. So summer, that's when you kind of learned. Okay, keep going.
So I joined the group. I like definitely took a plunge. I asked my admin to help pay for it, and they like wouldn't respond, of course. And it was summertime, and so I'm like, I told my husband, I'm like, we need to do this for our family. I was like, trust me.
Can I pause you for a second? What program, if you wouldn't mind telling them, because they probably don't know what you're talking about. Tell them what you're talking about, program.
Okay. So I ended up saying yes to Mandy, and I ended up doing the flipped classroom formula and literally never looked back. I like tell everybody I know about it because it's just amazing. And I told my husband, like, even if I have to pay for this all the way through, like what I'm going to get back in time and in like longevity, it's priceless, honestly. It's just priceless. And he realized how excited I was. He realized that I was literally throwing out a lifeline, like, help me, please help me, because I'm going to be a good teacher. And sometimes that means I'm sacrificing everything else. And I can't keep doing that. I'm a mom. And so he like saw it and said, let's do it. And I did convince my admin when I got back to help me with everything. So yay. And I think it was because set it up and I showed them like, this is what I did. Like, this is what's working. And they were like, this is amazing. And so they've been letting me just run full forward with it.
I didn't know that part of it. That's so awesome. Yeah, that's something that I've been thinking a lot about because like I said just a second ago that there's other ways to support teachers, right? And so, yeah, I've started accepting like purchase orders and because I know that like schools in Kentucky, that's the only way that they will not support their teachers, but that's the only way that they can pay for things. So that's kind of the nitty gritty and probably not what everybody listening wants to hear about right now. But just to say, sorry, I have this like hair thing, that there are ways that we can be supporting our teachers. And that's cool that they did that for you. That's exciting.
Oh, yeah. Especially when they saw the quality of the work. They're like, you learned all this in the summer? It was like, yeah. They're like, and you've made your whole like first 2 units. I'm like, I'm ready to go. And just to see, they could see that I was excited and not like still looking past that to the end of like, how am I going to sustain this? Yes. I was like, no, I got it. That's it.
I love that you say that too. So my husband is a local high school principal and I call him my agent. Because he just helps like we bounce ideas off of each other and I like, well, what about this? What about this? Anyway. So I asked him, do you think I should, because a lot of teachers have asked this too, I feel like you should be talking to districts and administrators about this. And I put that to my husband, and he said, no, because when a teacher comes to me excited about something they want to do, I'm paying for that. I'm not
Yeah.
going to find a program that I think is great and then push that on my teachers. I want them to find what they want and bring it to me. Like,
Yeah.
you are so right. You're so right. Because, and if you think about it, whether you're a new teacher or if you're lucky when you teach a new content or switch schools, even though let's say you've been teaching 10 years, you probably get some kind of mentor, right? You don't get to choose them. And they're not always great. And if they are, you've hit a gold mine. Never let that person go, right? But what about using this fantastic thing that's been around for quite some time now called the internet to find people that we want to learn from, right? That we relate to and think, he or she, they've got something. Like, I want to learn from them. And so, yeah, that's really, really cool. The other cool thing you brought up is that you went to your husband in talking about this. And so Tanuska and I had a conversation some time back, and she said that, well, do you mind if you tell them? Do you remember our conversation when you said what your husband said about you? Because of flipping and because of our membership that we have?
I don't remember the
Don't
exact.
remember? Okay, so
Yeah,
she
getting my
said,
life. Yeah.
she's like, we were talking about something else. She said, just so you know, my husband has even said I'm a whole different person this school.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
Can
and
you
he will
just
tell you that. I wish he
explain?
was here right
Yeah. Can you just
now. Yeah,
explain that?
because I am really passionate about what I do and I want to be the best at it. And I think like I was always just giving what like the most that I could and it was never enough, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm trying to balance it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so he was saying like I would walk away at the end of the day and still feel like defeated. Like it just wasn't enough. I was like I could have done more, I could have done better. I was too tired or now I'm failing at the house, like something's happening.
Yeah.
And so he was very much like you are totally different. Like you are like pumped about what you made. I like show him my videos. I'm like, look, I made it. And then the great part is, Mark, it's there forever. Like I don't have to take it down. I can like fix it. I can edit it and still be creative in that. But I can also just say, here it is, ready to go and share. And I'm like, I told him this will be my hardest, not hard at all, year because I'm recording it. But like next year, it's all
Oh,
ready to go.
I
And
know, right?
I'm like, I cannot, like time wise, again, like priceless. Priceless. Yeah.
Oh, it's so corny, but it's probably COVID-19 and the fact that I was sick yesterday that I'm like getting a little emotional
Well, I think you
because
should be super proud of your work. That's why when you were
thank
like,
you.
is anybody interested in talking about it? I'm like, yes. Yes.
Stop
So
talking.
good.
Yes.
Like, why wouldn't I like tell other people? And it's the same kind of like your philosophy. Like you want to create sustainable like lifestyles for these teachers. And I feel that same way. Like, and if I can like tell people like this is what worked for me and I'm like a super high achiever, I don't slow down and I have really high standards, and like my principal was like, you like that program must be really good. I'm like, it is, because I'm the pickiest person ever.
Oh, that's so
Like
funny.
I'm the one in the PDs who's like, okay, whatever, like that annoying learner. And
Mm-hmm.
this one, I'm like, yeah, keep talking. I'm recording everything. Like I'm gonna learn all this.
Oh, that's so nice. I appreciate you saying that too, because um, not that I want to like bash all professional development, but it feels like a lot of people have their foot in professional development, and a lot of them are not teachers, right? And so that's kind of another side of what's
Yeah, I think
motivating
this is
me is
me.
that having teachers as the experts, not
Definitely.
a textbook company. Even if everybody working for that textbook company is teachers, that's great. That's great. But having the individual teachers as the expert is a big passion of mine too.
Yeah, and I feel like for so long it's something that we've like neglected. I'm like, what a loss. What a loss.
Yes.
Because people are with the kids, they know their kids, they know what's work. Like, why don't I go to them?
Yes.
Yeah, obviously they're still there, so something's going on. Yeah.
Oh, all right. So Rochelle says, cannot scream from the rooftops enough. Oh my goodness, I wouldn't have read that out loud. Thank you, Rochelle, for saying that. She said how awesome Mandy is. Oh, that's so sweet, Rochelle. Thank you. All right, Whitney, welcome. Science teacher from Nebraska. Yay. I have taken steps to implement this, just have not taken the plunge to do it fully. That is, I'm so glad, Whitney, that you brought that up. Thank you. And Tanuska, if you have anything to kind of contribute there too, but I'll just say that it's a good way to get your feet wet. My second year of teaching, I kind of did that, and then just like Tanuska said, over the summer, and I had to DIY it. This was almost 10 years ago that I totally like figured it out on my own. Sorry if you guys heard that. My computer gets my text messages too. But what was I saying? Oh, there was a squirrel. Oh yeah, I had to totally DIY it over the summer and just make it as what I could. And so, and I talk about this in the webinar tonight. So guys, if you haven't signed up for that yet, I totally encourage you to. You go to teachonamission.com/flipping workshop. I'll talk for about 45 minutes probably, and then do Q&A as long as you would like. And in there, I share with you how even after a year of me DIYing my flipped classroom, I had the data to show the increase. But then after I got a couple years under my belt, there was an even bigger increase in my scores. And that's because I'd learned through experience, right? And Tanuska's kind of talked about this, that there are teachers out there with experience who can share that with other teachers to hopefully get through that learning curve a little quicker. Yeah. And I almost didn't want to say the word curve because it's kind of triggering right now for everyone. And I'm not going to say flatten the curve because that's not what we're doing. We're just saying getting over the learning curve faster. Two different curves.
I couldn't agree with that more because I think, like I said, I would have figured it out. And it would have taken me like 2 years, to do what I did in what was that, 8 weeks that we did it?
Yeah, it's a 10-week course, but 6 weeks worth of content. We kind of build in like work on the week.
It had it had due dates and like deadlines that were like, that made sense. Like, let's work on this week. Oh, and then let's talk about it this week. Like what didn't work, what worked. And then we also had a community working together. So it was like, well, I'm using Schoology. Well, I'm using Google Classroom. Well, and we could share what we had. And that was really exciting for me because when I figured out like, oh, this looks awesome. And I wanted to like share it, but like my students, I don't see them till August. My husband's like, saw it, whatever.
Yeah. Like, you were a teacher nerd.
Like I could share it with my flip class and they could use it too. And so it was like we were spurring each other along as we went. And that's been priceless. And I feel like Rochelle was in there, Courtney was in there that you'll talk to later. And I was like, these are my friends. I've never met them, but I'm like rooting for them. I'm 100% behind them. And like, I want to share what I've created. And also I didn't have to like think through, like, I'm learning the content, I'm making the videos. What's my timeline for this? Am I going to be done in time? Like, I did not think I would have as much done. And you kept saying, you're like, don't worry, unit 1 will be done. And I'm just kind of like, okay. If she says so. And then when unit 1 was done, I remember just sitting back saying, all right, whatever program Mandy comes up with, I'm in like 1,000%. Because she was right. And I didn't feel rushed either because we had these like breaks in between. Like, all right, you know what? Catch up. If you fell behind, catch up now and look at other people's resources, see what they've been doing. And I'm like, this is perfect. I just loved it. I'm like, gushing about it. Sorry. I'm like
just
embarrassed.
So everyone knows, I'm not paying her. She's giving like an exhilarating like interview right now.
Message me later and I will say the same thing.
Well, I'm serious. I mean, I've talked to teachers before, obviously, who have gone through the program on kind of what they thought, but hearing this, it's kind of like when you hear from your students 4 or 5 years after they've had you, right?
Which never happens. And you're like, when you get that one, you're like, yes, write it down, record it, everything.
Yes. Or like they give you that note at the end of the year and you're like, oh, I'm going to save this forever. I'm taking like a mental picture right now. Like I have to remember this. Yeah. So, all right. So let's talk about, so you kind of talked about the impact of flipping for you personally, which, to be honest, that takes up like a bigger part of my teaching heart, is how it impacts you as the teacher, which is, I think, undervalued very much because you're the number one influencer, right, on the equation of how your students are going to do in your classroom. And so, yes, how you are doing and impacted by this is huge. But do you have anything to kind of say about how students or just your classroom in general were impacted?
Yeah, so my students at first were like, what is this? Like, we signed up for AP. We've never heard of this kind of thing before. And I was like, trust me, do this. And half the time I'm like, Mandy, are you sure? Like, please say it's okay. Like, so much trust in you. But yeah, so we went through our first just like week's worth, troubleshooted some things. And then it was like, I couldn't believe how smooth it went and the amount of time it freed up because I was lecturing every day, which meant like any work that I was giving them was extra and it was not enough time in class. And I would then, and if I wanted time in class, I'm cramming 45-minute lectures into 30 minutes, hoping they got it, not really stopping for questions, just kind of, you got it? Okay, great. Here's a practice sheet.
Don't tell me if you don't have it because I don't have the time to make sure you do. So fake it till you make it.
Do it for homework, I guess, and bring it tomorrow. But we probably won't have time to go over it. So hopefully I can grade it for you and get it back to you.
Yes.
Like it was very much like it just felt frantic all the time, and I was constantly trying to grade their stuff. And I only had 2 sections, so I can't imagine people who had like a regular load, you know. And I was already and they're AP students, so it's not like they're kind of hanging out, chilling about their grade. Like they want to know, like, do I know this?
Yes. Yeah.
So I think being able for them to like have all their questions and then come to class, and then I'd read through like what questions they'd had, and then we like just talked back and forth about their questions, and then we got into an activity that I felt was tailor made for their questions. Instead of me just thinking they might not get this part, I'll just give them this worksheet. You know, it was like, no, they had this question and I have a couple of varieties of assignments that I'm going to do. And this is the one we're doing. And this is why. And it's going to answer exactly what, Johnny asked here. And then we all got to talk about it. And then before they left class, they were able to practice with me and then leave class completely secure that they did it correctly, that they understood what to do. And I think that's what is so unique about the class, and that's what the students really like, because they don't sit in their questions for very long. They get them answered right away, and they feel confident about the information that they're being delivered. And it's only my 2nd year in it, so I'm like, if they're feeling confident, I'm feeling confident. We're good.
Yeah. First year of flipping, though, right?
Yes,
first year in the content, first year of flipping.
In the content, yeah. And when I did the first year, I like knew this is not sustainable. Like I'm gonna have to give up AP, which is what I love. Like I have a degree in psychology, so like this was not something I wanted to give up. So it would have killed me.
For sure. And it totally makes me sad not to be a like Debbie Downer that you didn't get to finish.
Oh, I know.
Well, and meaning like to have the comparable scores to compare.
Yeah.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah.
So many downsides to this.
About that because I've been so like, I'm like, you guys are so prepared. You have no idea. You're so prepared. And then they're like, can we still take a test? I'm like, yeah. Like, go for it. Do whatever you want to do. Yeah. I'm like, but you know what? Like, you guys are such a unique, like, situation, and I just want you guys to be proud of like how hard you worked. That's all that matters. Like you know this stuff, and I know that if you walk into a psych class, you're going to be ready. And it's because I was prepared to come in, and it's because I did the hard work at the beginning, to get you guys ready and made it sustainable for me, so I could be a good present teacher.
Oh, that is so awesome. All right, so if anybody has any questions for Anouska specifically, feel free to plug those in. And Anouska, seriously, this is amazing. I just, thank you so much. I love that you share your story. And I love how you said, I wish my husband was here. I do too. Because he could have gotten on and be like, you have no idea.
He would have, because he's always getting on to me about all the time I'm spending. I'm like, but this is giving us back time. And he would have been like, he's such a champion of that because I'm back, I'm back, which is so great.
And just you saying I'm back makes me emotional as a mom and as an educator because it very much can stifle you because you are defined by and love these 2 roles that you have, and how in the world do you sustain them both well?
Yeah, definitely.
So Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So Anouska is going to stay on in case anybody has questions, and we can kind of bring her back up at the end and kind of say goodbye. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to plug those into the comments. So Anouska, I'm going to go ahead and say like a temporary goodbye. See you in a minute. And oops, that's not what I want to do. Oh, no, here we go. There we go. Okay. And then I'm actually going to bring on Courtney. So, Courtney, I'll let her introduce herself, but she also took Flip Classroom Formula and took it at the same time that Tanuska did as well. So, let me go ahead and bring up Courtney. Here we go. Hi, Courtney. Are you
Hi.
unmuted? Can we hear you?
I think so. Can you?
Awesome. Yes, we can.
Okay,
Welcome,
good.
welcome. Thank you so much for doing this. This is just awesome. So, like I said, guys, if when you're watching, if you have any questions at all, feel free to plug them in. Anything that resonates with you, plug it into the comments, and we'll make sure that we chat about it. But Courtney, if you would mind, just introduce yourself. Tell us where you're coming from, what you teach, all of those things.
Okay, so I'm Courtney. I am a third year teacher. I teach at a high school in Ohio. I teach social studies. I actually have 3 preps. I teach AP Psych, regular Psych, and government. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else.
That's awesome. So, what grade level then do you have? Do you have mostly 11th, 12th?
It's sophomores to seniors.
Okay.
So
Okay,
yeah.
so a good fluctuation in there. So you probably heard, if you're listening, that both of them teach AP psychology, which is kind of my other other niche, I guess you could say. I've been flipping that course for almost 10 years, and so a lot of people find my videos, and then they start asking questions about flipping naturally, right? And so that's why they both teach AP psychology. So, but it's cool. We just have multiple levels to relate on, and that's awesome. All right. So, if you wouldn't mind just telling us about your flipping journey. So, you said you're a third year teacher now, which means you flipped in your second year of teaching. Super brave. But yeah, just your flipping journey from when you even heard about it to where you are now.
So when I came in, I knew somewhat of AP psychology, but it was still a learning curve. It was still something new. So there is something I was told to where if you're not trying to learn new things every day to help your students, you're doing your students a disservice. And so that's really resonated to me throughout my entire teaching career, even though it's pretty short right now.
Yeah. It's okay. It's still meaningful.
But, yeah. So I was actually searching. I was a part of the AP Psych page, and then I found Mandy. And at the time, you were offering like one-to-one content coaching.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And so I reached out to you about that. And then after I creeped on you for a long period of time, I found out about Flipped. So I started looking more into Flipped Classroom. And I am the type of person to where I get pretty into it. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going for it.
Nice.
So first year, like Tanuska said, it was a lot of lecture. It was a lot of, okay, we can talk a lot about this stuff, but we're not going to really be able to apply those concepts. And anybody who teaches an AP or an advanced course knows that a lot of the test is that application piece. And so I was really frustrated with that because what would happen is the application or the homework would go home with them and they wouldn't have me. And so when, talking to you and looking into the flipped classroom, I like the idea of them being able to do the notes at home because they don't really need me, and I can still give it to them like I would. And then be able to come in class and apply those concepts that we learned to where they'd be able to answer those harder questions. So halfway through my second year, I was like, okay, guys, new unit, we're doing something new, which I'm not saying it was the best thing to do, but I did it. Let's try it.
Yes.
And with seniors, you probably know that was probably a funny experience for me, but
Yeah.
it worked out. They were cool with it.
Yeah.
But then I talked a lot to Mandy about, what do I do to make this better? Because I had some of the ideas, but I didn't feel, I had the very basics, okay? I would record, I would talk about it, that was it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go a little bit more in depth and make it a little easier to plan. So she reached out about the flipped classroom formula, and I was like, well, I kind of think I know. I didn't know anything. Like Tanuska said, it was so much better having due dates because I said, oh, I'm going to record all these videos and be planned. And there's no way I would have ever been able to do all that because it's summer and I want to be outside,
Yeah.
So by having those due dates and then little things you don't think about. So like Taniska said, we had a family. We had a Facebook family and we would bounce ideas off each other. I got so many ideas. Whoever made the Bitmoji syllabus, I love you because it was so much fun to do. Stuff like that. Like we really bounced ideas. We watched each other's videos. We talked about editing problems, how to edit, what we did, cool sound effects that we can put in, stuff like that. That made it just something, a little bit extra. And then the unit guides. That was the big thing that I got from it, was just really being able to sit down and have in front of me, okay, this video relates to all these standards. This video relates to all these standards. When they come into class this day, we're going to do this assignment. I told Mandy before, and I'll say it again, being a new teacher, they say, like, it's going to be a little struggle, and this year, after doing that, was the first year I didn't feel like I was drowning. And as a third year teacher, it's really, it's nice, to actually have a life.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Not, staying up until midnight doing stuff all the time. So yeah, having this course, I was able to really, pinpoint everything, get everything done, have the opportunity to ask questions. We tell our students that we need to be learners and always continue learning. So we need to also do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And flipping is really fun. And the students, I've had so many good reactions this year.
Oh, cool.
I did last year too, but this year, starting off the bat with it is way better than starting it in the middle.
Yeah. Okay, can I pause you for a second, Courtney?
Yeah.
Okay, because you're about to say something really cool, and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
And you're so excited, and that's amazing. But, okay, so Courtney mentioned unit guides.
Yes.
So unit guides is something that I teach in Flip Classroom Formula, which is essentially building the organizational foundation of your flipped classroom. Because like you did, and like I did in my second year, I just started. Okay, I'm just going to make this video and they're going to watch it, and then what? Okay, and then what video? And then, and so you could totally just DIY it, right? But then in the part of the course, I guess I could say, is that it's about having very intentional steps, both for yourself and your own planning, but also for your students. So it's very clear, it's very organized as to what's happening in your flipped classroom. So the unit guide, which it's really detailed on how we kind of go into that, is part, just so you know what she's talking about, is part of Flip Classroom Formula. Okay, so that kind of what you were talking about then was a good segue to the next question, which was kind of the impact of flipping. So you talked about students and what the difference between starting mid-year last year and starting brand new this year. Go.
Okay, so at first, like Taniska said, the students look at you like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? They don't, you can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you. You're good.
Okay.
Yep.
It's a new concept. It's a new idea.
Yes.
Being the innovative young teacher, let's go, and so at first they were a little and then I've gotten so many compliments from students about it. There's little things you don't think of. So for instance, the fact that before a big test, they can go back and watch all the videos, or go back and watch the concepts that they didn't understand to reteach themselves. They have this available to them all year.
You don't have to tell them to do it.
No, they do it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Which is really nice when we have something like this going on and they have an AP exam to study for.
Yes.
They don't have to email me and say, hey, can you explain this concept? No, they're just going to go back and watch those videos. And that's been super nice. Yeah. And I saw an increase in scores that way. I also have, you have very meticulous students who they'll tell you if you're up lecturing. And I'm not saying lecturing is bad.
No.
I'm just saying this is definitely a better way for me personally. Mm-hmm. If someone's up there lecturing, they're just focused on writing them down as fast as they can and not necessarily getting that content. And so a lot of them have said that because of this, they can slow down and take their time and write it down and then analyze it and answer the questions that I'm asking them instead of just, I have to hurry up and scribble this stuff down to have it. Also, if they're missing one day, they have the assignment. So I don't have to like reteach it. They didn't miss anything. Well, they did. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Oh, what else? There's so many. Like Anouska said with the questions, being a newer teacher in AP Psych, the content was a little bit hard for me. I really had to teach myself, and these are advanced students, so they have a lot of really in-depth good questions. And when they put you on the spot, it's kind of like, oh, I'll get back to you. But now they can ask those questions, and then, like she said, in class, I have a lesson specifically for that. I can answer those specific questions. I can show them specific examples of what they're confused on and how to help them. We're applying that material. And that has been a big change in regards to, test taking, knowing the material. Mm-hmm. They memorizing, they know it. They're applying.
And they probably feel more connected to you too, because you've been able to respond to their questions in meaningful ways. Yeah.
Well, little like inside jokes. So every now and again, if I'm recording at home, I'll like videotape my dog and they get so excited. I'll tell them for the notes, like, you got to pay attention because Mac is making an appearance. or like fantastic. One day, it was really funny. One day my husband was out mowing and I told him, start mowing from like the end of the yard and then you're working your way close to the house. So I'm in the middle of recording and all of a sudden he's right by my door and I just sit there for like 5 minutes, look, and then I have this big rant and they still mess with it. Like, oh, you remember when your husband was mowing and you got mad? I didn't even delete that one because I thought it was funny and they love it. It brought like a classroom rapport that you don't think of, but we have lives outside, and it's funny.
Yeah, and that's something that is probably unique to the older kids. I mean, to a certain extent, you can do certain things with your younger kids too, of course. But yeah, I think that's just kind of built in at all levels. But just to let everyone know who's listening that we do teach. The two of you who are here teach in the high school level. I actually was just on a call earlier for someone who teaches 5th grade and she's flipping. So please don't think that just because it's all high school teachers here talking that you can't make this happen, even in the kindergarten classroom. So yeah, that's exciting. Okay, so somebody, go ahead.
And like Anouska said, I was fortunate enough to see my students right before, they already knew that we wouldn't be back for a few weeks. And then now it got extended again because of the coronavirus. And I asked them, I was like, how do you guys feel? And they're like, we'll be fine. Like, what are you talking about? Like this, we have been doing this. Yep. I mean, it's a little different. They're not going to see me every day. We're not going to do that application piece. But with understanding the material, especially in an advanced placement class, they're fine. They're not worried. So that was really nice to hear.
That is cool. Not that we're saying you need to flip in case, there's another pandemic. It's not, good heavens, please no. But, I mean, shoot, you never know what's going to happen when it comes to, there's been days where we had no electricity at the school and we had to cancel, right? Or snow days, right? Or, heaven forbid you get really sick and you're out for 2 weeks, or, any of the variables of life that impact school, because they all do, right? Are not that they still don't have impact, but the impact is kind of lessened a little bit because of the accessibility of your classroom that you just happen to make happen, right? You just happen to make your classroom accessible by flipping it.
Yeah. Or vice versa, even students. I mean, I've had a lot this year where students were going on vacation and they're like, so I'll just do my notes and I'll be caught up. And I'm like, yeah, and they're already up. So start working on them if you want to before vacation.
Yeah. So you're not coming back super behind. And it's something that teaches them just because you're going and doing life doesn't mean you can't maintain school still.
Yeah.
That's something I talk to my students a lot about. Okay,
Well,
so
and then
somebody,
like we learned a lot about little hacks, to make sure that students are watching them in this course. And that, I mean, was super helpful. It's not just posting on YouTube. It's
yeah.
using some different resources to make sure that they're really watching and grasping the content.
Yes. Oh, I'm glad you said that because I've had so many questions. A lot of teachers have been joining my flipped teacher Facebook group, and I ask them questions when they come in. Like, if there's one thing you could get help with your flipped classroom, what would it be? And that is a big one. Like, how do I make sure students are watching the video? How do I make sure the videos are engaging? All of those things, right? And these questions, I'm like, yes, you're asking the perfect questions. Some of which we're going to talk about in the webinar tonight. So again, if you're not registered yet, make sure you sign up. And we go even deeper into that in Flip Classroom Formula. So that, thank you for saying that. Yeah, we do. It's about intentional steps and making sure that the first year that you flip, those students you have, it's making sure that they aren't like the sacrificial lambs to your decision to flip your classroom. Right? Like, you don't want that. No, you want them to do well from go. So yeah, that's awesome. Okay, somebody asked a question. They said, are students required to complete textbook reading along with viewing videos and taking notes? How much out of classroom coursework is required for the AP Psych student? So Stephanie, thank you so much for asking that. And I'm sure you're asking just to kind of compare what it is that you teach and thinking, well, what does that workload look like for students? And Anouska, thank you so much for answering that. My first, I guess it was 5 or 6 years of flipping, students in my AP course, they would watch a video one night and do the reading guide the next night. So they had homework every night. And then in the last, I think it was the last 2 years, I kind of got wise that, you know what, my videos are pretty daggone good. And I don't think that sacrificing our students' like mental health and sanity, to be really honest, is worth what I perceive to be an increased score on the AP exam. And so I didn't assign the reading guides. And they just did the videos, and they still went into their test feeling really confident, and I had the scores to show that as well. So yeah, anything that you would add there, Courtney, about kind of what the workload looks like for your students when flipping?
Well, like you said, pretty much just the video notes is their homework or the reading guide. What I did is the first half of the semester, I did the video guide one night and then the reading guide the next night. And then the second semester, I was like, you guys have been doing so good. And I didn't make them do the reading guide. But something you may learn if you take it is the game board. I used it as an incentive. Okay, so the reading guide became an incentive, and it was like a bonus opportunity. And so half of them still did it.
Yeah.
So it was pretty nice. And the video guides aren't that bad because your video, you don't want it to be super long. When I first started doing it, one of the big things I did was my videos were like 20 minutes, and it took kids like an hour to write notes down. And it was like, well, I kind of screwed that one up. So now it's like 10 minutes, and it only takes them 20 minutes.
There
so
you go.
They actually prefer it because it's not that much.
Cool. And I'm glad you brought up the game board. So whenever a teacher kind of jumps into a world with me, whether that's through Flip Classroom Formula or AP Psychology, like our membership that we have, I tend to just like find good things that might apply and think, you need to learn about this. And I just kind of dump it in there. No, I don't dump it in there, but I show teachers like, here's how this can work. Do you have to do it? No. But the game board is just an example of that, where I kind of show it's gaming, it's gamification, but not virtual or digital. It's very much old school game board piece of paper, but it's built in even further kind of some organization of the flipped classroom, as well as some differentiation. You get some mediation and enrichment in there, incentivizing things without paying them with grades. So, and I give some training around what that looks like. I mean, I did my whole master's thesis on what grades mean and what that shift then looked like in my classroom of, I'm tired of paying kids through grades for their work. I want this to be about the learning process. And so, yes, the course is about flipping, but I have some other things to share too, and I kind of work those in if you want to learn about them. So that's good. All right. Anything else that you would add, Courtney, just about like the impact of flipping, whether it's on you, your students, anything in general?
Like I said, first few years I was drowning, my head's above water. And I'm not just saying, like I would be honest. I it's been nice. To say the least.
Right? Focus on you a little bit, your health, right? Mental, physical health, and your relationship at home, and just all of the above. Yes, that's so. And that's to me. And some teachers watching might say, like, yeah, that's great and everything, but it's also more about the students, which, yes, totally get that. But you are about the students, right? And you are a very, if not the most important variable in that equation as to what's best for students. And so thinking about you, you don't need to feel guilty about that you absolutely should be thinking about you and how this can help everyone involved. So that's awesome. Okay, so any other questions from those of you who are watching, whether that's for, I'll bring Tanuska, I'll bring you back on. I'm going to take myself off and bring Tanuska on. There we go. Any questions? There's about a 20-second delay. So any questions you guys have, please feel free to plug them in. And while we're waiting, ladies, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being willing to do this. I literally asked them, I don't even know when I emailed you guys, what, like Monday? Right? And they were like, yes, we would love to do that. And I'm just so appreciative because you guys can say what this means to you way better than I can. Because I DIY'd it, right? Like I did this on my own however many years ago, and I'm so glad to hear that the course was valuable for you, and that it helped you have the results you wanted this year, not next year or the year after you've learned anything. So I really appreciate you. Any other like final notes either of you would like to add? Oh, you're muted.
I'm going to resonate with what Courtney said about the kids being prepared. Like my students, on that last day, I like handed them the note guides for the next unit, and then they just looked at me, and I was like, "So we're good, right?" And they're all like, "Yeah." Welcome. And they were just like, "Oh, I'm not even worried about this class's worship. I got to go check out what's happening in English." And I'm like, "Okay, well." I guess we'll do like a Google Hangout and then we'll like talk through stuff, but you guys got this. And
Yeah.
It was just such a relief for me because I could see myself like just being scrambling right now, like scrambling. What am I going to do? And I'm just like, cool, you're good. All right, see you later. Like, love you. Stay healthy. Focus on that because you got everything else. You're good.
That's so awesome. And we didn't know that this pandemic was going to happen, right?
Not at
Oh, my word. And then it did. And holy cow, thank goodness.
Yeah.
All right. Any other remarks? No? All right. So I don't see any other questions, which that's totally fine. I hope that you guys watching benefited from hearing. So I'm going to say goodbye, ladies. Thank you so much. Again, everybody say bye to Tanuska and Courtney. Again, thank you so much. All right, let me bring myself on here. There we go. All right. So again, I can't thank those ladies enough. They truly were a joy to have in our first cohort. It was over last summer when they went through Flipped Classroom Formula. It was my first cohort. Like I had just built the course. My first cohort of teachers to go through, we had 11. And I totally underestimated, did not see coming the community that we would have in our group. I totally did not see that coming, and it was something that I will forever value in my career as a teacher, because when you're in your building, whether or not you have teachers that you kind of relate to or can collaborate with well. A lot of teachers don't have that, right? And I call it being kind of like stuck on an island, whether you're teaching your course by yourself or you're trying something new by yourself, right? You can be in those boats even if you do have teacher friends in your building. But I totally did not see it coming that this group of 11 teachers last summer, and then a few more joined in over the school year, that we very much were like a crew, a teacher group, a crew that kind of worked together to support each other. And also just had fun. Like, not gonna lie, our last live, I had a glass of champagne, or was it a glass of wine? I forget, but it was like, cheers, and you guys are amazing. And you know what? We're about to do this. And I try to be motivational for them, and that you guys have got this. You guys have got this, and you just wait. You're gonna see the impact. It's gonna be amazing. And hearing from them today that the course gave them that reassurance and that confidence in their classroom is absolutely everything to me. Absolutely everything to me. So if you guys have any questions, a couple of things that I would like to do. Actually, just one thing that I would like to do. So give me a second. I'm going to share this slide just so you can kind of see what it is I want to tell you about. So if the flipped classroom formula is something that you want to know more about right now, I encourage you to go. It's on the right side of the screen here. teachonamission.com/flipped classroom is the URL to go check it out. But if you are kind of like, I don't know yet, I kind of want to know more about this whole flipped classroom thing. Yay, that's so exciting. And I have the perfect opportunity for you. So teachonamission.com is my website /flipping workshop. Okay, so teachonamission.com/flipping workshop is the kind of webinar that I'll be doing tonight on Google Meet. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So even if you register today, I'm still going to send you the workbook. And then at the end, I will send you a certificate of completion for your CEUs or PDUs, whatever you call those, which is a great segue because Rob has a question. Can you receive CPDUs? See, everybody calls them differently. For the flipped classroom formula when it is finished. Rob, I love this question so much. Okay, so at the end of flipped classroom formula, I send you a certificate of completion, and I forget how many contact hours I put on there, but it's a substantial amount. And ultimately, it is up to your school district. So you might want to do something now before you sign up if you'd like to, or sign up and then just hope for the best. It's totally up to you. But you can show them the course, kind of like what Anouska was talking about. Show them the course, show them all the work that you're doing. And if a certificate is needed to help you in getting those CPDUs, then I send that to you automatically at the end. So I hope so. That is my absolute hope for you. And different districts and even different states do that differently. So I would encourage you to ask ahead of time. So Rob, I hope that answers your question. All right, guys, so I'm going to hop out of here. So again, the webinar URL is teachonamission.com/flipping workshop. All right, and I'm going to go here. Okay, so we are all finished. I'm so grateful to both Courtney and Anouska for hopping on with us today, and I hope that you have gotten something from this, right? And hearing from other teachers that not too long ago were probably in the seat that you are in and considering, is this worth the time I'm going to put in? Is this really right for me? Is this going to solve some of the issues that I have? Because there is no such thing as a silver bullet in education, and I do not say that flipping is one of them. It's no such thing. But if you have certain things that you want to accomplish in your classroom, I do believe that flipping very much can be the solution for those issues that you're having, and not even issues, not even like struggles or pain points, just things that you want better. Things that you want better for your classroom. So if you ever have any questions, feel free to plug them into the comments here. Send me a message on Facebook. You can send me an email. It's Mandy, Mandy, @teachonamission.com. All right, guys, I am going to be going live tomorrow. And to be honest, I'm kind of up in the air on what the topic is going to be, but I'm leaning towards kind of building off the webinar a little bit and maybe even repeating a few things from the webinar about building an accessible and sustainable classroom by flipping. Okay, so we'll talk even more about flipping. So I hope to see you there, and I really hope to see you tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for that webinar. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, and I hope to see you tonight. See you later.